Hello. Thanks for stopping by and welcome back to my channel. My name is Felix and today I'll be expanding on my Hazbin Hotel swap AU since part 1 got way more views than I expected. Seriously, thank you so much. You have done me a great favor and now I'm here to uphold my end of the deal. If you haven't watched part 1 yet, please do. I'll be doing a lot of references back to that video, so it'd be helpful if you knew what I was talking about. First off, Alastor as Vox. I'll do a very rough spreadsheet here before going back into the screenshot redraw, so we'll both get the gist of my design for him. The Gentleman's Gazette was a major help for me to develop a design for this swap Alastor. I watched their nearly half-an-hour video titled What Men Actually Wore in the 1930s multiple times to finally put together a fresh design for Alastor. He's wearing an ascot with a dress shirt that's left the top 2 buttons open. His waistcoat has a belt, oversized lapels, and big shoulder pads because men's coats back then went for a more athletic build. He's wearing knickerbockers plus 4 with many pleats. Knickerbockers are basically a dapper version of shorts, and the plus 4 part means that it's 4 inches past his knees. Striped socks, a watch, and his shoes remain relatively the same. He also has a fedora since it was a relatively popular fashion item for 1930s American men, but I'm not drawing it on his head as it blocked out his hair and antlers. Speaking of antlers, you might have noticed that they're uneven. That is because of an injury he received in the fight with Vox 7 years prior. In my part 1 video, I said I liked the theory of Vox's and Val's antennae being broken because of the fight, and that I made Husk lose an entire wing because of it. Well, now for Alastor, he received such a devastating blow from Vox to his head that it permanently damaged his skull, and that area affected the regeneration of his antlers. In real life, deer antlers will have abnormal growth if there is serious injury to their frontal bone. It took me many painstaking hours to be able to dig up this piece of information, and I was on the verge of giving up on the idea of Vox Alastor having one smaller antler. I didn't put much thought into his cane. It's basically just a 1930s microphone with a pentagram shape and some deer antlers. Oh, and I did a little recoloring as well as limiting the number of colors in his palette, cause the official one makes me want to gouge out my eyes and chop off my arms. On the topic of his mic, equivalently to show Vox, his voice will have mind-controlling properties when spoken through this mic. That also mean his voice would now lose the static filter when speaking normally. His mind-controlling powers would enhance if he sung through his mic too. It's such a waste not to weaponize his voice and make him fight like a bard. Man, if Alastor in the show was able to fight like a bard, the fight between him and Adam would be so much cooler to watch. Hey there! Just wanted to let you know that you're like 1/3 of the way into the video. If you like what you're seeing so far, feel free to subscribe with notifications on so you won't miss out when I make a part 3. I'd appreciate it as well if you can like, comment, and share this video to a friend. I'm just an artist trying to get the art seen, and it'd bring me such happiness to see what you have to say about my drawings. Now, I hope you enjoy the rest of the video. Anyone who came from my part 1 video would remember that I didn't plan to design a swap Alastor because I already liked a pre-existing one. Well, my lovely viewers, let me tell you a story. After releasing my swap Vees video, I did what I had to do to stimulate my channel's growth, that is, promoting it everywhere I can get my calloused, sore hands on, and that includes Facebook groups. Believe it or not, there are many active Helloverse fandom groups on there with very fun people and even more talented artists. And please don't ask for my username. It's kinda something I'd keep private, unless you already know, but don't go hand it out to whoever that asks. I got all kinds of comments they are overwhelmingly positive, and I'm very happy they were well taken, especially when people recognized what nifty is supposed to be when I didn't tell them. But 2 comments stuck out. One was from a Vietnamese group. They said in Vietnamese, "Nifty looks gorgeous, but Alastor looks lame." In which, yay, they liked my nifty design, but I feel hurt for Robin Z as that is their design. Who knows how much effort and time Robin Z put into this Alastor edition. And then there's the second comment. It was from an associate of Robin Z. It might have been deleted. I can't seem to find it anymore, but they had a Goku profile picture when they made this comment, and they tagged Robin Z. Said in Spanish that I was lazy to use Robin Z's design. Bro, I made it abundantly clear that this was not my design. I also made it absolutely obvious that it was a creative product of Robin Z, and I liked it enough to draw it. Even though they did say that my art was beautiful, nó như là vừa đấm vừa soi á. Tôi thích tôi mới vẽ. Được nhiều người khác thấy tôi vui gần chết, tự nhiên nói vậy làm tuột mood ghê. Mình đâu có biết người bên kia, người ta đã trải qua những gì đâu. Mà dùng từ ngữ chê bai đó. Nên nhớ nha, suy nghĩ cho thật kỹ trước khi nói một từ mang ý nghĩa xấu nào đó tới bất kỳ ai. Nhất là qua mạng. Mình sẽ không bao giờ chắc chắn được chuyện gì sẽ xảy ra sau khi mình bấm gửi. I couldn't sleep after reading that comment. Sure, call me sensitive or whatever, I'm not a celebrity, haven't learned to deal with rage bait or hate comments yet. I don't remember exactly what I sent them in response to that comment, but it's basically a summarized version of what I just said. It's very disheartening to be called lazy when I worked my ass off for 2 entire weeks every fucking day. And honestly, it sucks a bunch that I genuinely adored them a ton. They speak at least 3 languages for fuck's sake. They're Vietnamese, probably around my age, and their art is nowhere near bad. I followed their profile, loved seeing their art on my timeline, and yet they use that same account to drive a stake through my heart. Why do I always have to unlearn over and over again not to look up to someone online? So take it from me, peeps. Never put any internet person on a pedestal ever again, cause they might end up like Mr. Beast. Or worse, they'll directly hurt you. Wait, that got heavy real quick, huh? Well, don't you worry anymore, cause I'm about to line up the atmosphere with what you actually came for, the Vees and Alastor, Husk, and Nifty's places. For Vox in Alastor's position, I really wanted to push the intimidating look, cause honestly, look me in the eye and tell me either of them are scary. I know half of you watching right now would totally smash at least one of them. So while Alastor Vox still retains his 2-meter height, he will now have a more streamlined, sleek look that has black as his main color with glowing cyan blue accents. You can see in the sketch that there are a bunch of eyes all amalgamated to form his face. My concept is that each of those eyes is a soul that he trapped. I ended up not finishing this idea, but for you to envision the full picture, it's like very fleshy and alive. Each eye blinks on its own, and his whole screen face is like that one meat room from Little Nightmares 2. In the finished product, I end up with the analog smiley face emoticon, cause nothing is more intimidating than receiving this at the end of a text. This will be his equivalent of Alastor's shit-eating grin. He talks like a Vocaloid, and he is very aware of how funny it sounds. He does so that he can let his opponents underestimate him, so then he can catch them off guard. For every line he speaks, there will be subtitles on his screen, cause face it, not everyone is able to hear Vocaloid without captions. And yes, that means this Vox does not have a real face, or at least show it off for the world to see. I loosely based his head design on the TV I have at home right now. It has this cool base, and I decided to modify it to be these giant pincers on his chin. Since I'm not allowed to like Robin Z's design anymore, my inspirations came from my favorite dateable in a dating sim game, Alastor, and a big-headed, paranormal-obsessed 12-year-old Dip Membrane. By the time the speed paint plays out to the coloring stage, you probably know which character inspired what part now. Alastor gave me the smiley face as well as the voice and subtitles idea, while Dip cemented the trench coat look along with his oh so recognizable hair shape into my head enough to manifest in my designs. The red has got to go now, cause I honestly think Vivian Madrano is just forcing every single fucking character of hers to have some kind of red in them. I mean, just take a look at Zestio. It could have been dark green and the color palette would be so much more harmonizing. If you're curious about what happened to his bond with Vox in this AU, they were once business partners that had a mentor-student dynamic, with Alastor teaching Vox about how the hell hierarchy works and the various ways to climb its ranks. Vox was more than just some underling dealmaker to him. Alastor adored him as a friend even. He valued his persistence, resilience, and tenacity so very much. As Vox was powerful enough to be on his own, Alastor asked him to work with him forever, adding to his group of 3. But all Alastor got back was laughter and rejection. Not only did he rejected him, he also told him that he was embarrassing. Vox up and left while Alastor writhed in pain of his newly broken friendship, and he vowed to never reach out to Vox in a docile manner ever again. Moving on to Velvette in Husk's place, instead of being an alcoholic gambling addict, she's addicted to her phone, clout, and the caffeine in the energy drink that she drinks, in which she let all of those ruin her afterlife. Instead of gambling away her soul or selling it to save her power or whatever, she willingly sold her soul to Vox to make her internet famous. Why did she think that was a good plan? Well, just look at the absurd things people do online for the teeniest bit of engagement. Also, because she was so up in her own ass that she was convinced the 2000s emo look was coming back and wanted to push her roaring 20s agenda. That explains the big spiky hairstyle with raccoon hair extensions, striped fingerless gloves that might or might not be a means of hiding her scars from self-inflicted injuries, and those deranged thigh-high Converse. They were a pain to draw, but I'm not gonna even lie, it really adds to the liveliness of this illustration. I wanted to draw a can of a certain energy drink that starts with an M in their name, to reference the caffeine addiction that came with excessive drinking of this drink 2000s teenagers had, but I'm not gonna risk another lawsuit from them. Normally, I would add even more accessories because this isn't enough for a typical scene kid, but this art is for a video and I'd like to keep my sanity. And don't even think about calling me lazy again, because I know how to and have drawn scene kid characters. I just really wanted her to have a floating top hat and suspenders. Maybe it was me subconsciously carrying Husk's elements over to this design. Velvette's life on Earth would probably be the same in the original show, being millennial, trying to revive trends from her teenhood, but then losing herself in the process would be so gut-wrenching. Imagine the things that used to make you feel belonged, cool, or just bring you some happiness doing is now the same thing that led you to a downward spiral. I'm not sure if she were an overlord before all this, but let's just say she was. I'll expand once again if this video gets enough attention. Now about the last member of the Vees, Valentino, who is now in Nifty's place. It's quite surprising how many of you simmed for Valen Nifty when she would literally be just as bad, if not worse, than original Valentino, but to patches instead. I guess y'all went tall woman hot. Don't worry, I understand. But I'm curious to see if there's any of you bashing on Niftentino when this video ends, now that he's just a lowly janitor. He's now Nifty's height, maybe less than a third of Vox's height. He wears a maid dress that is more on the sexualized side, and both of his antennae are still intact. that means he can still fly just fine. Another side rant coming up, and it's that Nifty in the show is just a waste of visualization potential. I cannot express how boring her design actually is, and it does not correlate with what she does at all. The fact that her design is supposed to be an alien or insect just makes this even a bigger bummer. I went through this in my last video, but why isn't she given antennae, wings, or at least another pair of arms? They would help her to be so much more productive while cleaning. I saw the potential of this, and I was so happy that I've picked this specific swap position. Valentino can fly anywhere to dust off corners or just cleaning the ceiling in general. Valentino isn't completely insane here, rather he enjoys cleaning and cross-dressing. I'm thinking he had these interests while he was alive, but was forced to conceal it due to bigotry during his time. And when he died, he sold his soul to Vox so that he can freely be like whatever you're seeing right now. What was he like in hell before meeting Vox, however, is an unknown story because there's not enough in the show for me to twist around both on Val's background and Nifty's. Now going back to the sexualized maid dress I mentioned earlier, while you can probably deduce that he wears it because he likes cross-dressing, but there's another uncomfortable reason behind it. That Vox had hypnotized him into wearing it while cleaning despite how impractical it is. Why did Vox do so, you might ask? Well, he films Val 24/7 for, number 1, his own enjoyment, and number 2, he live streams that for money. Cause you know how much fetishists love effeminate men doing traditionally female chores. And Valentino isn't against this either. He loves attention, and unlike Nifty in the show, Valentino does not freeze whenever a camera is pointed at him. And here's the finished product. I'm very proud of how it's turned out despite all of its flaws. I'm just happy to get it out of my system. If you found watching me draw while ranting enjoyable, please like and share this video as well as commenting. It really helps motivate me to keep on creating because I actually don't receive any form of monetary gain from making content. The best way to support me right now is to commission me. You'll get a drawing of your own. I have my Discord DMs open for that as well as my email. Thank you so much for stopping by and staying till the end. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. See you next time.